And now I get to introduce our speaker, Reverend Joanne Boruck. And Reverend Joanne is going to talk to us about faith, philosophy, and life. Reverend Joanne.
Thank you, Reverend Tress. This is my beautiful book. But I'm not going to share that one with you because you can't see what it says on the outside. This. Whoops. Bang! That was spirit! Saying you're right. This is what I want to talk about. Philosophy, faith, and life. If you don't have this book, I'm going to start first by asking Ursula to come up here for a minute. Ursula told me an amazing story about this book. And you know, I only just met her this year. So Ursula, if you could tell us what you heard about this book online.
Well, I was watching someone online, and they were talking about 5 books that changed their lives. So they said, I'll start with the 5th one, and I won't get into details about all the books, but I was paying attention because I love books, and I know they can bring us a lot of information, and I love reading. So she got down to the last book. She said, I'll save the best for last. So this woman had changed her life. She had different issues going on, as we all do in our lives. And so she just decided she wanted a different kind of a life. And she bought an acreage in Mexico, and she built a home there and started up a dog rescue. So she's done a lot of things, and she said, I owe it all to a certain book because I could sit for hours and read it. And I got something out of it each time I would read it. And she says, you're going to laugh, but here it is. And she pulled it out, and it was in about 4 pieces kind of taped together. And she says, this is it, and it's called The Science of Mind. She said, you got to work with this up here, for sure. And this, and she said, it changed my life. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah, and you know, that's what comes up when you talk to people that you don't know how connected you could be to them. And I know Ursula always said when she came here, I already knew all that stuff. I already knew all that, but it's sure nice to be with like-minded people and affirm it. Okay, that makes it so much better. And I want to welcome everybody to this magical place. This place of individual growth, this place of infinite possibilities that we call the Center for Spiritual Living Red Deer. This month also is really important to me because, you know, it's a lot of important people's birthdays. Ernest Holmes' birthday was January 21st. Also, it's Janis Joplin's birthday and Elvis Presley's birthday. Not to take away from Ernest, but, you know, they're all right up there in my in my category of the best of the best. Oh, my heart fell inside. Okay. So, I'm Reverend Joanne, Faith, Peace, and Love. And I invite you to join me in an opening affirmative prayer. If you choose, you can close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. And I start by saying, this is a wonderful day to say thank you. So I begin with a statement of gratitude. I am filled with joy and thanksgiving for who I am and what I know. I speak my word in the collective as we are all one. This is what I know for sure. There is a power for good in the universe greater than I am, and I can use it for good. This power is our use of the divine knowing, the Creator, the Spirit, the God, the thing itself. I attach my body and mind and spirit to this allness, this intelligence and goodness, and all is well. Today is the day I have complete control and connection. Today I go within and make a decision to make it the best day ever. And I do it with awareness, integrity, and kindness. What I give out comes back to me tenfold. It's easy to be myself, the self that Spirit intended me to be. I ask myself throughout this day, is this what is intended of me? Am I kind? Am I aware? Am I sincere? Yes, yes, and more yeses resonate from my heart into my soul, and all is well. I close this prayer again with gratitude, knowing the more I'm grateful, the more I attract things to be grateful for. What a wonderful world we live in. This thing, spirit, mind, intelligence, works through me, as me, and I am open and grateful. I let these words go knowing that they are returned in wholeness and completeness. It is done. And together we say, and so it is. I put all is well in there because one of the treatments that Reverend Judy always said, if you don't know what to ask for in your affirmations, just affirm that all is well and leave the rest to Spirit. You don't have to itemize it all. So in this space, I would just ask us again to close our eyes for a moment and bring to mind all those who made their transition this year. All those who need to know they're loved. Bring their names into your heart and hold them tenderly and send loving, kind thoughts. Their hearts know where we are. Thank you. Do you know, when we're sending loving thoughts to all these people, that energy comes into the room and I can feel it. I can feel so much love coming here from all the people that we're missing that are here in spirit. I can feel it every time I come in that door. I can feel Spirit moving me. It's so warm. Okay. Good morning again. Whew. Takes me a while to come back and get off track. But I'm here. I'm here now. Today, I want to refresh those of you who know all about this teaching, all about this philosophy. But also, I want to plant the seeds of personal empowerment in all those who may not know about this teaching. And I want to share about this amazing, amazing truth that we all know about. And I want everybody to go out and share it with somebody. Because, boy, if anybody and any time in the world needs our peace and our truth, it's right now. So this new year, we think of it as this is a time for resolutions. But for me, I think it's a time for revelations. And let's reveal the truth. Whoa, that's a big box. And I think every sunrise whispers to us that we're in a spiritual evolution. And the affirmation this year that I saw in the Science of Mind magazine says, I remain open, receptive, and ready for the infinite to surprise me again and again. So let's say that again together. I remain open, receptive, and ready for the infinite to surprise me again and again. Wow. And that was from Reverend Soni Cottrell. She's our president of the organization. So the Science of Mind book, like I said, says on the cover, a philosophy, a faith, and a way of life. As you open the book, the first thing you see on the inside is like Genesis for me. And he says, the very first thing when I opened it, it says, these lessons are intended and dedicated to the truth which frees man from himself and sets him on the pathway of new experience, which enables him to see through the mist to the eternal and changeless reality. And right underneath is something that I would like Peter to come up and read. And it says, peace be unto thee, stranger. Can you grab a mic? Honey?
Good morning. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome to my home. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also, it sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome.
Thank you, Peter. I'm still waiting for the wine. Reverend Valentine. I think the wine is our thoughts. So the first time I read that opening 20 years ago, I was hooked. It just meant so much to me. And do you read the opening in a book? I often do. You know, you read on the inside, it tells you a little bit about it. And if you opened a book that read that, wouldn't it just say to you, wow, I need that book? I don't know how many are out there, but if you don't have one, just run and buy one. Because how many of you gone through Reverend Valentine?
Well, probably half a dozen.
Yeah. Trez?
Oh, I've got one well fallen apart.
Yeah. And this is my fourth one, and I got it when I got ordained. The ministers here bought it for me, and it's leather, so I'm hoping it's not going to wear out. But if you think there's not something in there that you need to read, you should open it and see. So that's what I did that day. I read that opening, and the introduction was deep, and I started to read it, and I really had to change my thought consciousness. Because, you know, when you start reading it in class, and Reverend Tress would say, okay, I want you to read this, some of those phrases are so foreign to us, you can't even put those words together, like, you know, I'm loving and kind, and you are welcome, and the hearth is open, and, you know, you had to read it a couple of times, and you'll even notice when we read the Science of Mind magazine, sometimes that's hard to wrap your tongue around, because most of what we read came from something greater than we are. Most of what we read is channeled in this center. And so, thankfully, I continued on, because today I want to uncover two different thoughts that are in Ernest Holmes' book. In January, we used to do 4 chapters of the Science of Mind magazine. I don't know if we have any books left with those chapters in. I'll have a look after. So we used to read the 4 chapters, but we don't anymore. But I have taken it on myself to tell you about the first two. The first two chapters are the thing itself and the way it works. And if that entices you, the next two are what it does and how to use it. So I think some questions come up for me as, do you believe in God? Because we call it something else here. We call it divine intelligence. We call it spirit. We call it love. And I have to tell you, this isn't in here, but I have to tell you, I read this book by Greg Braden called The God Code. I don't know if you've read it, but I had this angst about that word, and so I read this book, and he says G-O-D is an elemental code dating back to the time before Jesus. And it stands for oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen, which is energy. And the only thing we have is carbon. So that's why we're one with Spirit. Spirit's in, around, and through us, for us, because we're all made of the same composition. We just have a body. And now I don't mind that word so much. And as I made my peace with that word, wow, what a world opened for me when I can say, I believe in God. We say it on the inside of our program, and when we speak what we believe in our centers, the first thing is we believe in God. But it goes on to say, we believe the Spirit Almighty is within us, operating as us and through us. So, the thing itself. That was the first chapter. And you might think, what thing? Anything? I mean, any specific thing? What a word. We use it so often. Grab me that thing. What thing? Not that thing. Right, Peter? And so we use it so much. And you know what that thing is? It could be anything. It could be a screwdriver or a bologna sandwich. It's just grab me that thing. And in our teaching, the thing is infinite as well. But it's called infinite intelligence. And Ernest Holmes, as I go on to talk about the book, in the very first chapter it says, we all look forward to the day when science and religion shall walk hand in hand through the visible into the invisible. That thing itself could be our divine plan for our lives. And not a purpose, because there is no purpose, but there is a plan, and the plan is one of freedom. We're here to express and experience freedom. Freedom, as Ernest Holmes describes it, is freedom to think for ourselves. And I know right now freedom of speech is really something that we're not experiencing. But nobody can take away our freedom to think for ourselves. And I think love is freedom. Nobody can tell you not to love, or who to love, or not to love yourself. That is freedom. That's the inner voice that tells us life is wonderful. A love beyond your wildest dreams. So the thing itself is love. It could be infinite intelligence or divine mind. I believe it's all of that, and that is the philosophy that they talk about. It's the study of the fundamental nature of reality and existence. Love, intelligence, divine plan, the philosophy and the faith. I mean, you'll find faith in every part of this teaching. Faith is the secret ingredient. On page 27 it states, let us approach the science of mind and the science of spiritual philosophy with awe. I think awe is faith. Oh, wow. Isn't that amazing? And we live in a spiritual universe. We all know that. But God is in us, through us, as us, and for us. And you can count on that. I often wondered why my mom called me Faith. And, she passed before I got my ordination, but she knew I was taking the classes. And so I never had the courage to ask her, because I always wanted it to be, oh, she knew I was going to just find myself and turn away from all that other stuff. If you grew up in the 70s, you knew what life was like in the 70s. Infinite fun. And we're not going to tell you anymore. And I like to also go back to the Bible. In the Bible it says, in him we live and move and have our being. It could be written to, in her we live and move and have our being. But it's the same thing. It means it's moving through us. So, the philosophy and the faith, it's all energy. I think life is energy, and love expresses through us as emotions, as energy, and creativity. Do you know there's a law out there that we practice through science of mind? It's not like the laws that you think about. I mean, we think about the law of gravity. We know it's here because it keeps us on the earth. We know about the law of electricity because when we plug in a kettle, it boils. If not, there's a disconnection. So, if there's no energy in us right now, where is that disconnection? Because we're fathomed after nature, the law of nature. There's seasons, there's a time to rest and a time to grow and a time to plant. And what season are you in? You'll probably know if you've listened to me talk. I do an Easter talk and I think, oh, that's the new year. Then I do a fall talk when we're harvesting. Oh, that's the new year. Oh, now it's really January. That's the new year. So I guess there is no perfect time for you to start. I think what Edith says, do it while you can, where you can, if you can, when you can. Do all you can. So love is the way, Ernest Holmes says, and law makes the way possible. So you can't have the law of nature without the love of nature. There's so many nature lovers in this room that I could just plant a garden. And so if we know that nature needs our nourishment, and we're fathomed after nature, we need nourishment too. That's a faith, knowing that we are fathomed after something magnificent. Faith. Live your life from there. I want to tell you a story about a Hindu legend, and some of you might have heard this already. And it says, the Brahma in the Hindu legend called a big council meeting, and he says, we want to have humans search for their own divinity. Us telling them what to do and fixing everything for them, that's not doing anything. How can we have human beings find their own divinity? So he had this big council, and somebody on the council said, let's bury it in the earth. But Brahma says, no, I'm not burying it in the earth, because one day they're going to find it, make a shovel, and they're going to dig it up, and they're going to find it. And again, they just dug it up and they found it. So the next person in the council said, I know, let's put it on the top of a mountain. And Brahma says, no, I'm not putting it on a mountain. Eventually, humans will climb every mountain and they'll find it. And so the next person at the council said, we don't know where to hide it, for it seems like there's no place on the sky or the sea, that humans will eventually reach. But Brahma thought for a long time, and he said, here's what we'll do with human divinity. We'll hide it deep inside every human being. The humans will search everywhere, but they won't look inside themselves for their true selves. And ever since that, the legend continues that humans have been going to and fro and digging and climbing and diving and exploring, searching for something that's already within themselves. Don't be so busy searching that you forget about living. And there's one more spiritual law. Our philosophy reminds us that the more you focus on the good, the more the good will attract to you. And we don't really see that in the law of nature, in the law of electricity. Do you know where that law is? Right here. It's the law of mind. Whatever you think about comes about, and we've heard it by lots of different people in our teaching. You know, I'm older, so I'm thinking Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay, and they all talk about that. But the one thing that was missing in all of those was the faith. At the end of every treatment we do, we say, and so it is. That means I let it go. I don't have to worry about it anymore because I have faith that my word is powerful. So that's the law of mind. The mind acts on what you feed it. So, as well as noticing you're good, also affirm you're good. I mean, really, you could go out there and the coffee could be too weak or too hot, but oh my gosh, if you can just say, isn't it good that we can gather together and have coffee? Just putting that out there, that there's something good in your life, starts to bring more good back to your life. That's the way of life, is to live the philosophy of who you are, your divinity, the faith that you have a power for good greater than you are in the universe and you can use it, and living a life. That's the philosophy of Ernest Holmes. He coined it in 2 phrases. It is done unto you, which is the philosophy, as you believe, which is the faith, and then go and live your life. So as we leave this morning, let's each of us embrace the thing itself, whether we resonate with it as Great Spirit, Buddha, Allah, Creator, Divine Intelligence, and yes, God. Know that there's a power greater than we are in the universe, and we can use it for good. This is the way of love, and this is the way of life. This teaching is a philosophy, a faith, and a way of life. I am Reverend Joanne Faith. Peace and love, Boruck. And I bless each of you on your journey this year, living the philosophy and faith through this magnificent life. And so it is. Are you doing closing? And now Reverend Vera is going to do closing. Thank